Alright, so we're doing 9-5, which is elimination method with multiplication. 9-5 is very similar to 9-4. We have, again, we're using the elimination method. This isn't quite necessarily the title, but since we called the other one the elimination method, this is what we're calling this one. But we have like kind of an extra thing to do. So if we want to use elimination when the coefficients don't match, you can make them match using multiplication. So before we had matching coefficients, and we had to either add them because they would cancel or subtract them and then they would cancel. But if you look at this example that we have here, well, hopefully you know the coefficients. Coefficients like are in front of is 4, -5, 3, 10. It's the number in front of the variable. So if they don't match, none of them match. We can't just add them or subtract them and have one of them cancel. So we're going to have to kind of manipulate the equation in order to do so. So we're going to use multiplication, because if we multiply both sides of an equation, we are not changing the equation as long as you multiply both sides by the same number. There's more than one thing you can multiply by, but I try to pick the lowest number, and also I try to pick, again, sometimes you're going to have to do one equation, sometimes you're going to have to do both equations. We're going to have both ways in this video notes. So in this case, I look and I see, oh look, that -5y and 10y, one thing that attracts me to it is that one's negative and one's positive, so therefore I can do adding from that. Also, I know if I multiply -5 times 2, that will give me a -10y, and I know a -10y plus 10y cancels each other out. So this tells me that I need to multiply the top one by 2. So this is what I'm going to do. Again, could you do other stuff? Yes, but I'm trying to do the easiest possible thing for me. So I'm going to rewrite the system, and I'm going to have 8x minus 10y equals, and that's going to be 46. And then I'm just going to rewrite the other one underneath it. X 10y equals 31. Now I know I could just add them up together, and those cancel, so then I get 8x, so it's going to be 11x, and that's going to be 77. So I divide by 11, so x equals 7. Okay, so I got x. Now I need to plug back into the original equation, so I'm going to plug it into the top one. So 4 times 7 minus 5y equals 23. 4 times 7 is 28, minus 5y equals 23. Subtract 28. So you get -5y equals a -5. And then divide by -5. So we get y equals 1, so we get 7, 1 as our solution. Okay, so we need to multiply in order before we do our elimination method. Next one. Okay, we have 3x plus 4y equals 2, and 5x plus 9y equals 1. So I can't just multiply one of these to get the other number, so I'm gonna have to multiply both equations by a number. So I could try to eliminate the x's, and I could multiply the top by a 5 and the bottom by a 3, because then we'd get 15x for each of them. Or I could do 9 times the top one and 4 times the bottom one, so then I would have 36y and 36y. It doesn't really matter. Up to you. I'm going to do the x's, cancel out those x's. So I'm going to multiply the top by 5, and since I know that they're both going to be positive when I multiply them, I'm actually going to multiply the second one by a -3, because I want one of them to be positive 15 and one of them to be a -15, and that kind of saves us from having to do the subtraction later on. Again, it would be the same thing as multiplying by 3 at the bottom and then making it a subtraction one like we've done. So I'm going to multiply these out. So I'm going to multiply the first one out. So 5 times 3x is 15x. 5 times 4y is 20y. And 5 times 2 is 10. Now I'm going to multiply the second one out. So -3 times 5x is -15x. -3 times 9y is a -27y. And -3 times 1 is a -3. So now I'm going to add them up. So cancel. That's going to be a -7y, and that's going to be a +7, so divide by -7, so y equals 1. Plug it back into either one of the equations. I'm going to do the first one, so 3x plus 4 times 1 equals 2. So 3x plus 4 equals 2. Subtract 4. So 3x equals a negative 2. So divide by 3. Divide by 3. So x equals a negative 2/3. So I could write my equation as negative 2/3, 1. There you have it. So sometimes you have to multiply both of them. And we're going to do a last one. Oh no, it has some fractions. But first what I'm going to do, I want to get rid of those fractions. So I'm going to multiply the whole thing, this whole top one, by 3. So I can get rid of that 3. So I don't have any fractions. And I'll multiply the bottom one by 4 because I'll get rid of that 4 and the 2. So I'm going to do that to get rid of my fractions. So 3 times 5x over 3, the 3's will cancel out, so we'll be left with 5x. 3 times y is 3y, and 3 times 7 is 21. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times y over 4, the 4's will cancel out, so we're left with plus y. Oh my goodness. And 4 times 7 over 2, that's 28 divided by 2, which is 14. Okay, now I'm not quite there yet. I still don't have anything I can cancel out. It looks like the y's, I could multiply this bottom one by a negative 3, and that will give me a positive 3y at the top, a negative 3y at the bottom one, and they'll cancel out. So that'll be really nice. So again, I'm just going to rewrite the top one because I'm not changing that one. And then I'm going to multiply, so I'm going to have negative 12x minus 3y equals, and that's going to be negative 12, negative 42. So add those together, those cancel out. This will be a negative 7x, and this will equal negative 21. So divide by negative 7. So we have x equals 3. So now I'm going to plug it into the original equation just so I don't mess up anywhere. So I'm going to plug in the x to the top one. So 5 times 3 divided by 3 plus y equals 7. Well, I know those 3's cancel out, so now I have 5 plus y equals 7, so subtract 5. So y equals 2. So we have 3, 2. So, again, you're just going to have to multiply the equations by something where we can get them to cancel. Sometimes you multiply one of them, sometimes you multiply both of them. So, there you go, but same elimination method.